Welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind Group podcast. Here we're all about breaking free from the 40 to 50 year work grind and accelerating our journey towards financial freedom. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast track your path to financial independence. We serve as a hub for connecting with fellow members during our sessions so you can share successes, ask questions, and keep the momentum going.
Good evening, everyone. This is Niyi Adewole, host of the Ekabo Home Financial Freedom Mastermind podcast, and I'm excited to be joining you here on Wednesday, the 29th of October, the final Wednesday in the month. And it's crazy to think that we are literally 2 months from the end of the year. And so this is the time to accelerate, not take the foot off the gas, and to, while others are starting to wind down for the year, turn it around and really finish the year strong. And so I'm excited to be joining you here today. This is going to be an open session. We have no idea what we're going to talk about today, but I'm excited to see who joins and to jump into conversation. And I will leave it at that. Boneka, how you doing?
Great, thanks, and yourself, P.
I'm super good. Well, it's you and I. What books do you like to read? Do you read in like real estate related or investment or personal help books?
Not real estate, more personal help.
Any good
Not real
recommendations?
estate yet.
What are some of like the top books you've read?
Well, from the top of my head, let me just have a look on my bookshelf.
You're good. And while she's looking, AJ, how you doing?
Hey, Nick, I'm doing really good. Give me 1 second while I set everything up.
Absolutely. And now the weather has changed. I'm low-key disappointed. We got to figure out tennis when it turns a little bit better than it is today.
Yeah, is that an excuse to not want to get out now?
Listen, man, I was winning the game. All right,
I think that's
I
what
don't
I'm
know
hearing.
what you remember about it, but I was out there cooking for not playing for a bit.
Give me 1 second. I don't know why my AirPods are not connecting right now, but
Are those AirPods?
see, these are AirPod Maxes. So I have the AirPod Maxes and then I have the AirPod Pros.
Got you.
Now, I typically use these when I'm at my desk getting things done, and I'm just kind of in that studio vibe, and I'm just like on my laptops and doing all my tech work. These are my pros when I'm on the go. I feel like these are some of the best Apple products to ever be created. I think these are highly undervalued, but just their flexibility, like being in the house, going out, running errands, how they seamlessly connect to like your iPhone. I love these things. So
Yeah. No, I got mine, right, with the little name on it, which is cool. So I love these things as well. I use these. And then the Meta glasses are surprisingly pretty good for like having conversations too. As long as you don't mind people looking at you weird because it looks like you're talking to yourself.
yeah, no, those really surprised me when I'm on the phone with people. They say the audio was really clear. So I was surprised at how well that technology is. So
Oh yeah. Boneka, what you got for top books? I'm super interested.
top books. I actually have one right beside me right now.
Uh,
So this is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Great book.
Yes. So I've heard a lot of great things on this book, and it was just kind of one of those books that is just kind of like, hey, you got to read it at some point, especially as an entrepreneur or someone who wants to just elevate their career. Not only that, just in life, the business of just operating and communicating with people. I'm always looking for ways to just improve that aspect of my life. So it was only a matter of time before I picked it up for sure.
Oh yeah, especially in the business that we're in. I mean, it's needed. And one of the things that you told me about, and I'm happy you did, because I was kind of just in my own zone and then started looking it up, was some of the changes coming to Airbnb, and it's official, right? They officially have changed the percentage they're taking from 3% to 15.5% from the host. And so previously you could have it to where it was split, where there'd be an additional service fee that was given to the guest. But now Airbnb is removing that option and they're saying, hey, we're going right to the host. And it's in line with what they've been doing the past year or two, really probably closer to 2 years, which is shifting a lot more in favor of the guest. Even where it's a clear-cut case of guest malpractice, they're still erring on the side of, hey, the guest is always right, and hitting the owners. And so it's more important now than ever to have other avenues that you're listing your properties, whether it be a direct site, whether it be the VRBOs, the booking.coms. And I think that at least the people on these calls have built out the ecosystem to have that in place and be ready for this. But what are your thoughts on that? Have you seen that start to come across?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, I'm a little bit, and maybe I just don't understand the concept behind it, because it's like, are they just expecting hosts to not implement these changes? Like, guys like us, we're going to be on it. Like, and I know I mentioned to you the last time we playing tennis, I'm like, hey, you got to make sure you're on this. And I knew you were aware of it, but that Hospitable actually has the feature that will automatically do it for you. But I'm kind of like, just with the decision making process, like you mentioned, they're moving to kind of support the guests and not support the host as much anymore, which is extremely frustrating as a host. But at the same time, the savvy hosts like myself, I'm gonna be on top of that and aware, and I'm just gonna up the price to make sure that I receive the same net profit. So I don't know. I'm just like, I guess I get it, but then again, I'm a little confused by it, especially if they think they're trying to, maybe are they just trying to get a one up on hosts or something? I'm not too sure. I don't know. They're not
In
gonna
my
get it on
mind,
me.
when I look at it, I think more from a guest standpoint, and
Mhm.
guests have a lot of places they can choose from, right? Marriott and Hilton are now starting to do unique stays. Like you can go stay at a Marriott that doesn't look like a normal Marriott. They're gonna have like all the art on the wall, and literally we did this when we were traveling to Costa Rica. We went to stay at a spot that you can book through the Marriott, but it resembled an Airbnb. It was like a standalone house. It was pretty nice, yet you could use hotel services that were on site, which is kind of a nice addition. And so Airbnb is seeing that competition. At least this is my thought process. And they're saying, hey, we need to cater and get more to the guests, because if we bring the guests, then the hosts will choose our platform. Because still 60% of the bookings that we get are coming from Airbnb. We want to get that below 50%, but it's a slow grind to get there and get that name out there and things of that nature. And so I think that's where they're going, but it is frustrating. It's very frustrating for those that knew what it was like before, and you got to be on your P's and Q's. And you definitely do not want to be competing at the lower level tier. You want to be doing more of what you just put together and more of like the mansion type of houses where it's toward the upper echelon, where people are not worried about price. They're just worried about experience.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you just said 100%. And I think that is more of the reason why I leaned into getting in my direct platform set up, especially after acquiring my third property back in August. I'm like, we have too many different short-term rentals to not have multiple ways to bring in revenue. Like Airbnb is a big chunk of it, of course, but if you can start to cut into that portion of revenue and try to get it on different platforms, I definitely think that's the way to go. And you're definitely the man to talk to about it because you've been killing it ever since you've set up direct. So I may have some questions for you, just to, just the tips and tricks on how to just bring more attention to your short-term rentals through the Hospitable Direct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I got to ask you, you went down the path of booking.com as well, right? You set
Yeah,
that up?
yeah,
Okay. How
yep.
has that been
Mhm.
for you?
So funny thing, this past weekend we actually realized that we got a booking that came in, and we realized that the net on our end was like really low. So I was like, what the heck? Long story short, the guests like pulled up to the house and everything. It was crazy, but we got the reservation canceled. But good thing we did, because we actually did not have the cleaning fee embedded in it. And I'm just like, whoa, like we just averted like a huge disaster. Essentially, I thought I set the cleaning fee on Hospitable, but for booking.com, it's a bit different because the connections are just wonky when it comes to booking.com. It's not easily integrated. We had to set the cleaning fee on booking.com directly. So like I said, we averted a crisis there. We almost gave a guest basically, I'm not going to say free because they still had to pay, but a lot less than what they should have been paying for this stay.
Come on now. Yeah. And booking.com is one of those weird ones where guests don't even really have to verify much. And so you should be charging a premium for those guests.
Yes.
Like we charge 20 to 30% more for booking.com guests because they could just book randomly and I don't know who it is. And so it's like, all right, let's get some more. And have you started using the security deposit feature from?
I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah. So that was something I was trying to figure out. Like, okay, you can set up a security deposit on Hospitable, but how do you actually enforce it? And I did not know until recently when we had this almost disaster. But difficult situations and times like that is when you figure things out. And I found out that Hospitable sends the guest a portal link right after they book the reservation. We just had to set it up to where immediately after they confirm the reservation, that the message and the portal link sent to them. I don't know why the default is the next day. I don't know if you've seen that, but I was like, that doesn't make any sense. We want the security deposit up front. We don't want to give them the portal link to do the security deposit the day after check-in. Like they have to do it immediately when they confirm the reservation. So got that all set up, and I'm happy that I know how it works now.
Come on now. And I'm with you. Like before, I think I talked about it maybe last year or the year before. I'm blanking on it, but we used to use something called AutoHost that did the same thing. And I think that's where Hospitable got the idea from. And AutoHost was good when it worked and it was terrible when it didn't because people would have a bad experience and they'd give us a bad review based off of that. Like, hey, the stay was great, all this, but it was an issue trying to get in and get through this whole software. It couldn't take my ID. Hospitable built their own, which is much more seamless. And to your point, we're using it across the board. Booking.com, you have to go through that before we send anything. We had a guest try to book at like 7 p.m., which is after checking in and pull up to the house and like, hey, we're at the door, da 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 da. And we've trained our team to say, hey, listen, you need to fill out this portal. Once you fill that out, the code will get sent to you automatically because we need that security deposit for making sure they're not throwing a party and things of that nature. And then for properties like the mansion or our bigger 5-bedroom properties, it's been invaluable because once somebody puts like even just a 700 or 1,000 or $1,500 security deposit down, they're more than likely not going to want to lose that. And you don't got to go through the
Mhm.
channels to try to recoup funds from Airbnb. Like for example, we had one person in the back unit that you saw during our women's event last year,
Yes.
and they broke one of the desks. Like they just broke a desk, said nothing about it. Cleaning team goes in there, they're like, "Hey, did you know about this?" No. So we were able to take $350 from their security deposit because that's what it cost to replace it, and they couldn't really dispute that.
I was gonna say, so a question for you, and this is something that I'm trying to figure out for my properties as well. What is a good rule of thumb that, in your opinion, for the amount of the security deposit? And I know I'm gonna assume you're not setting a blanket security deposit for each property because every property is different and has different amenities. So how do you go about determining what the security deposit is for each of your properties?
Yeah, I usually do it by number of bed count and then like the luxury level of it, right? And so if it's a 1 bedroom, the most I'll ask for a security deposit is like 150 if I'm gonna take one. That's the most, right? Because a single night could be 75 plus a cleaning fee, right? And so I'm like, you know what?
Mhm,
Let's just do 150 to make sure we're protected. For the more
mhm,
luxury properties, like the back, we have it set at 750, right? For a security deposit, because I think that'll cover most everything. For the mansion, we have it set at, I want to say 1500, and then it goes up to like 2500 for a single night because somebody's going to do that. We're like,
mhm.
hey, we want to make sure we're protected there. And then for some of the properties in between, it's anywhere from 300 to 500, right? So, for example, the property that you just put together, I'd probably put it in that 300 to 500 range, right?
Mhm.
Just to make sure it's enough to protect you, but not piss anybody off, because you don't want to do that. You don't want it to be 2 grand or more than their actual stay, and then they're like, hey, why am I putting this much down?
Exactly, yeah, and another thing I was gonna bring up is deterring guests because, like, if you, set it to a point where it's too high, and that was something that happened with that almost disaster reservation that we ended up canceling. I'd let them know that they had to pay a security deposit, and then once they found out and they got the portal link actually sent to them, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know about it." Oh, it's kinda like, I don't wanna pay the security deposit." And it's like, while I understand it from a guest perspective, like, you don't wanna front more money, my thing is, if you just respect the house rules and you treat the property the way it's supposed to be treated, it'll get refunded back. You know what I mean? So, like, a person like me, I'm very responsible. If you ask me to pay a security deposit, so long as I get it back, it's no issue. Just put it right on the credit card. I'll treat the property with respect. I'll get it back. But having those kind of guests who like feel a little bit weird about paying a security deposit, that gets me thinking like, okay, well, what are you trying to do? Like I just don't understand that part
Especially if they're
personally.
through booking.com. That's when
Yeah,
my antennas are like, all right, this person's trying to throw a party. Like we don't need
right.
that. We don't need that in here.
Why should you be so concerned about a security deposit? It's just to secure the reservation. Should anything happen, nothing should happen, right? You get it right back.
And it's
So
the same thing that hotels do. Like literally, Airbnb is kind of
exactly.
merging with that. It's just a different kind of experience. And nobody questions this with hotels, with
Yeah,
car rentals, right? Like it's all
exactly.
kind of it's one of those things that you just know you're gonna have to do.
Right, but with short-term rentals, I guess everybody, as soon as we, put a security deposit in there, it's like, oh, it's an issue. Why are we paying a security deposit? You would do the same thing if you went to a hotel or, like you said, a car rental. So,
Come on now. Question for you, completely
sure.
unrelated to this piece. Are you and have you started to put in to try to go to some of these World Cup games that are coming to us?
I haven't. I've been so focused in on just hosting guests for it. I'm excited for that, but I actually haven't thought about it. How about you?
Yeah, so I actually applied and it's more difficult than you think, right? So you got to go online and apply through this raffle and you can do it for multiple locations, but just because you live somewhere doesn't mean you're going to get it. And I
Mhm.
lost out on the first one so far. I'm still waiting to hear back from like the second and third. I put in for here, Boston, Mexico City, because Mexico City would be
Oh,
dope.
wow.
I wouldn't mind going out there. I think there was one in California. So put in for all those. I heard back from the one here, didn't get it. There's like a lot of people going for this. and there's only X
Wow.
number of tickets that are actually available. So you got to keep putting in for the raffle and see if you can get one, and then you have the option to buy the ticket.
Wow, that's insane. So you don't even get guaranteed tickets. It's just the opportunity to potentially buy it. That's
Exactly.
insane. Wow.
Yeah, and it's
No.
already started. So that is encouraging to see. Like, okay,
Yeah.
despite everything going on in our country, right, and kind of like
Mhm.
different pieces that may ward people off, there's still a demand to come see, the biggest sport and biggest sporting event in the world.
Yeah, that's honestly crazy. Gives me chills. Getting me excited to host the World Cup at least. Pretty sure all of our properties they should be occupied. I think you mentioned that you already had some reservations. I opened my calendar up for those dates. Now I have a 12-month calendar for the first time.
Nice.
But I have not gotten any reservations quite yet. So
It'll come. It'll come. A lot of people are booking a lot closer to the time now, as you probably noticed. Like, hey, I'm going to book for this weekend, the week prior, but it's going to start to extend out as we get into the new year, as we get closer. I think people are still trying to secure raffles, to be honest. But yeah, we have had a couple bookings, which is awesome, and they're paying a premium because of the way we got the pricing set up.
for sure, man. Hey, transition here. I got a topic for you. So,
Please.
how are you doing with short-term rental licensing and keeping up to speed with the laws concerning that?
Man, so this is something I cover just about every day because we're helping other people get short-term rentals around here. And so I don't know if you were you on when we had the president of Amstra, the Atlanta Metro Short-Term Rental Alliance. This was like beginning of last year. He joined the podcast to talk about it.
I may not have been a part of that podcast, but I've spoken to him virtually and in person on multiple occasions. So,
Perfect. Okay. Okay. So he helps keep me up to date. I reach out to him every so often just to be like, hey, what are you hearing? What's the news? And so we're still at a standstill. I think it's going to get sorted out by Q1 of next year because they really want to make the revenue for the World Cup, right? I think there's just financial incentive to get it done. And so what is actually on the books right now, and quote unquote, if you were to call like the short-term rental office, is still the old rules. Hey, you have to live in Atlanta and then you can only have two, one that you live in and one extra one, but that's already been struck down, right? Like they're constantly going through like and putting it up for votes and things of that nature. And if you look at the website where they're actually going through the short-term rental ordinance, they've
mhm,
crossed that rule out. They've made it more of a grandfather rule where if you already have one up and running, you can get grandfathered in. And then they're going to put
mhm,
a limit on the city itself, right? Like, hey, we can only have X number of short-term rentals, and they're going to try to weed it out over time as people get, kicked off due to having turning into a party house, as people
mhm.
just delist their property or sell them, and they're going to try to get that number down. But right now we're still at a standstill. There's nothing really being enforced in full
Yeah.
transparency. Like they're not sending people out to go and knock on doors and say, "Hey, do you got your license?" And so you're kind
Right.
of keep going. And I personally am trying to keep expanding because I want to get grandfathered in. Because once you get grandfathered in a city like this, just hanging on to that license is going to be super valuable in my mind.
Are you licensed for all of your properties or majority of them or what's the
I'm
split?
licensed for a good portion, but not all of them, right? So I'm
Mhm,
practicing what I preach. Like I literally don't have a license for all the properties and definitely don't have a license for all the ones that we're managing, but we did go
mhm,
through the process. I encouraged all the owners to keep the documentation so that we can
mhm.
show it once all this stuff kind of shakes out and they officially roll out the new ordinance that will be enforced. And so we're just continuing business as usual across the board. I will say this though, when you look at ordinances, Fulton County is the one that we're talking about right now.
Mhm.
Cobb County is pretty simple, man. Cobb has made it so seamless. Up in like the Mariettas, the Smyrnas, the Vinings of the world, once you get your license, and it's not that hard. It's the same process, but they've already eliminated that whole thing and rolled it out, and they have a team working through it. You just pay $150 and you renew it every year. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
I have my renewal. They send it in the mail. So I just need to like
Mhm.
fill this out and then I got to drive into there because they want to see you and you turn it in manually with a check and they give you a renewal for as long as you want to keep it.
Got it, got it. Yeah, Fulton County is definitely convoluted. However, I've done it now 2 times, and I brought this up because I'm excited to say that I got the duplex that I just purchased, that just got licensed.
Nice.
So I went through that process. It was much easier to do it the second time around because the first time is just like completely unfamiliar. You're like, what are these documents? I think even the first time, I paid for the deed, and that was because that was for my first purchase, and I didn't even know that I likely had access to the
Yeah,
deed
you definitely
somewhere in
have
my
a
yeah, I
deal.
definitely have the deed somewhere. But I was like, man, I don't know exactly where it is. but I found that there was an online service where you can go ahead and pay for it. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it was like $10 or something like that, nothing crazy. But this time I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not giving up $10 for the deed. I just closed not too long ago, so it's fresh on my mind. I'm like, I have the documents right here. So I went through that process, and I officially have two out of my three properties licensed. The third one, that might be a little bit different because that is in the
DeKalb,
city
right,
of,
for the third one?
yeah, but so the duplex is also in DeKalb as well, but it's
Okay.
Atlanta. So yes, we're in DeKalb, right?
So yeah, so
Yes,
to
I'm
that
pretty sure.
point, I had mine, right? That when I lived in the single family in-law suite, that was
Mhm.
DeKalb. It was like literally on the line of DeKalb. And so you do go to DeKalb, which is slightly different and slightly easier, I would say, than Fulton.
Right, right, but I think the ordinances themselves, so it's not county specific, it's city specific, right? Because my short-term rental license, it says like the city of Atlanta, but it doesn't mention anything about the county. So because this duplex is in the city of Atlanta, regardless of it being Fulton or DeKalb, I don't think that really matters. But the fact that so the short-term rental that I'm or the property I'm referring to that's in Decatur, that's because it's in Decatur. So I think they may have a separate licensing process, which I have to figure that out. So, but
That's
I'm not
fine.
sure. I'm not sure they're enforcing it as much as the city of Atlanta because the pressure of short term rentals in Atlanta is obviously like much more immense than it is in Decatur.
Yeah, and it's one of those where, to that point, they're not really across the board. Like it's still pretty early on. It's only if your house is like turning into one of those party houses where the police are getting called every other week that they'll start to show up and try to shut you down. But it's pretty relaxed right now until they figure out all this and how they can start to make income and then enforce it. When I look at other cities, like for example, I was thinking about buying a short-term rental like 2 years ago in Louisville, Kentucky, because I traveled down there for like the business that I have down there and things of that nature a lot. And it's tough, man. So what they did down there is they put a limit on the city, and now they have. I'm surprised Atlanta doesn't have something like this right now. So I know they can do it because if Kentucky can do it, Atlanta can do it. But they have like a map, like a heat map, and it shows you where all the homes that are licensed are, and you can't be within, I want to say, 1,000 feet of another home that's licensed, which essentially means just one per block. And so it's
Yeah,
like it's
they tried to
eliminated
do
a
that.
lot.
They tried to do that with Atlanta, didn't they?
Yeah.
That one got struck down. I don't think. How does that even make sense? I don't understand that one.
It's just to limit the number, and I think it's
Mhm.
it's going to make our properties more valuable when they actually finish and roll this thing out. But for right
Right.
now, I'm just trying to stack as many as possible with the intent of getting grandfathered in.
Exactly. And that was my perspective essentially is like, whatever's going on with the city and the council trying to figure it out. And also we have Amstra fighting against them. I was just like, wow, you guys are rocking the boat, figuring out, going back and forth, what's going on, all of that different type of stuff. Let me sneak in, get my license. So then, once the dust settles and then they do have the law set, I feel like that is a time where everybody's going to be scrambling and trying to get it and yada yada. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't want to deal with that. So let me just get my license now. And then, like you mentioned, be grandfathered in and I don't have to deal with any of it.
Absolutely. And the thing that I always keep in perspective as well is
Mhm.
when I talk about like short-term rentals, I like this because it allows you to buy in awesome neighborhoods and actually make the cash flow work year one. But if I could make the cash flow in a long-term rental, I would absolutely go long-term rental. And so for some of the properties that we've purchased, like the fourplex up in Snellville, we turned two of those into short-term rentals to begin with. But now we've converted one of those over to a long-term because the numbers make sense, and we're continuing to just evaluate and see, okay, when the numbers make sense, switch it over because then you can set it and forget it.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly the goal. When I first got into real estate, obviously at the time it was around like 2020, 2021. So that was kind of like the Airbnb boom. And you saw a lot of people making it big in short-term rentals. And I'll be honest, that caught my eye. It was a way into real estate. It's like short-term rentals. You can, especially with the economy growing the way it was and inflation and things like that. But as I've gotten years in as an experienced real estate investor and multiple properties under my belt, I'm kind of like, oh wait, no, I don't want to continue to grind and having to manage all of these properties. I mean, I'm still gonna have to manage them regardless of if they're short term, mid term, or long term. But like you mentioned, it's a little bit more of a set it and forget it, and we say that loosely, right? Because we don't want to just completely just hands off the deck, but the difference. It's a huge difference between managing a long-term rental versus a short-term rental. Like with a long-term, you put a tenant in there. If you have a great tenant, they take care of the property, everything is good. I think the worst thing you'll have to deal with is when the tenant actually moves out, and you have to fix some things up, painting, things of that nature. But short-term rentals, I feel like for me is like it's hospitality. It's a completely different industry. So you're not just providing a space for someone to stay, you're also providing amenities. You're also providing toiletries and dish cookware and just all sorts of things. And if your property is limited in those areas, or you're lacking in some of those areas within hospitality, that could impact your business, so I say all that just to say, like, yes, at some point down the road, I would love to just transition my short-term rentals into a longer, more stable approach that can just carry me cash flow wise and less work for me.
Absolutely. And I think you're spot on, right? When you talk about the short-term rental piece versus long-term rental, long-term rentals, after somebody's been in a place for 30 to 60 days, yes, they're going to have some things. Hey, what about this? Can you fix that? Can you do that? But then they're just going to go silent and essentially just pay every month and they're not going to hear much, right? So you can manage a bunch of those solo and be good. With the short-term rentals, there's one of two ways. Either you stay smaller, right? And you've got to start to use all the software and really put a lot of work in to do that or automate as much as you can, or you just go big and then you can get a little bit out of it, right? And so,
For sure.
I took the path of like, okay, we had our portfolio and then all of a sudden started managing for an investor and then another person and then another. And I was like, you know what? Let's just go as big as we can, right? And pull in more people to help with this to where now
Mhm.
Niyi is not spending every hour trying to message people, which works as well. And now with AI, you could do that a lot easier with like the AI inbox and things of that nature. Have you started to turn that on and tap into it?
So, in what respect? Because you can apply it in many ways. Like I know AI is integrated within Hospitable, so I use it in that respect. There's not any other areas where I feel that there's a need to, unless I'm just unaware of it. So, if you have some tips and tricks, for sure. But as of right now, just messaging. I think that's like the biggest part when it comes to running a short-term rental business, and then the automation of scheduling your cleaner and also like a maintenance team and things like that. I can't think of really any other areas of opportunity, but if you have some ideas or some areas that you're using it, please enlighten me.
No, no, I think you're spot on. I'm talking about through
Yeah.
Hospitable, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
just
Yep.
turning it on and allowing it to do the auto reply even at night and things of that nature. That's been a game changer. And the fact that it learns over time from some of your
Right.
responses, like, okay, this is how I should respond to this. That's been incredible. And we've been using that a heck of a lot.
So I am a little bit wary though. I don't just fully unleash the AI portion on Hospitable right now, at least. Like we do have some aspects where, just like the automation, and that's something that you set up. So I wouldn't typically consider that AI. That's just like, your processes, guest messages, things like that. In terms of responses, I will definitely like generate a response to a guest. So that takes the think piece out of it. I'd be curious to see how you're using it, but I don't know if I necessarily trust it to like, just let it off the leash because sometimes it will say things that I won't agree to. And I don't want that to be the case where it's like, oh, it's just being like way too nice in terms of hospitality. And it's like, oh yeah, sure, you can stay 2 hours after. And I'm like, wait, hospitable, hold on. Like I did not agree to that. So I am like taking it slow with that piece, but I'd be curious to see if how you're handling it within hospitable.
Yeah. So within Hospitable, you can hear my son in the background. He is a little bit hungry. But
I actually cannot hear it.
really? Okay, this mic
Yeah,
is awesome. So
yeah.
so within Hospitable, you can turn it on to where it auto replies, and you probably already know about this. And we had it turned on just for overnight initially. And did you know about this?
For auto replies.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. I'll show you.
Okay.
Let
Yeah, I've,
me
I've been really trying to dig into Hospitable a lot lately. I even went to the town hall meeting at 12 o'clock today. So I've been trying to get more
nice.
consistent with that.
Yeah, as much as you can, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
mean, this
here goes
this
what we
tool is
have.
going to help us.
So this piece is making it to where we used to have a VA team of three working around the clock, 8 hour shifts
Mhm.
to answer all the messages. Now we just have one VA and we utilize the inbox AI to help
Mhm.
us make it happen. And so we've upgraded to mobile, right? So I think they have this in mobile, but in the default settings, we updated this a little bit. It used to be delay sending for like 5 minutes because we wanted our VA to be able to check it, make sure it was good before. So we did that for about
Exactly.
a month. And now
Yep.
we have it sending immediately. And then we used to only have it overnight. Now we've turned it on for all day. And what we focus on now is one, making sure that the issue gets addressed and that if there's anything that is off key, we jump into the knowledge portal behind this for each property because that's where it's pulling all the info from. And we edit that piece so that it has the correct info. The other piece is,
is that like the document where you upload like a bunch of just random facts about the
yes,
property and then
but they
it
made it
pulls
better.
from that?
They made it
Okay.
easier and better, and I'll show you in 2 seconds. But yes, that document's where this is pulling from. But now the knowledge portal is pulling from your messages going to the guest as well. We also
Mhm.
put a caveat in here where, hey, if there's a lockout or it seems like the guest is getting upset and not being adequately addressed, send this message. Please provide the best number to call you. So the guest will send a number to us, and then our VA and our operations manager know, okay, let me jump into this one and maybe respond personally or just give them a call. And that's helped. So if a guest was like, hey, I'm locked out, right? Hey, please send your number. It'll send that through, and then we can just go ahead and call, and it lets you know. And then we also put this message underneath for right now while we're still teasing this out. But once it gets really, really tight, which is getting better and better, we'll delete this message. So it just looks like it's coming from us.
Got it. So at this point, it sounds like you're fully comfortable just letting the AI off the leash and you don't deal with any manual replies at all.
So we still got the VA to handle
Mhm.
things. Like if somebody is asking, hey, can I do an extension, things of that nature, or hey, can I do an extension? You still need to manually
Yeah.
go in and send that to them and things. So we
Right.
still have him, but this is essentially his partner. He's got a VA partner or a AI partner that's helping him. And then when you look at the Knowledge Hub, this is where it's pulling all of the info. A
Mhm.
lot of this comes from, and it tells you what the source is. Some of this comes from what we put in there. Others come from, and let's pull this one up.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think I got into the Knowledge Hub when they like first created it, like the first iteration. But
Yep.
this looks a lot different from then for sure.
The first iteration was really tough to use, right? Because you had to keep
Yes.
updating a PDF. Now you
Yeah.
can do a PDF if you want, but it tells you the sources. It's detecting from the inbox, right? And pulling it like, hey, they answered this question like that. Let me pull that. It's getting
Mhm.
property details, message history, and the knowledge hub that you put in. And then you could add new sources pretty easy, whether it's that piece or you could just jump into a section and say, okay, hey, we have this amenity. Don't forget about that. Or hey, like a bunch of different things. So we're jumping in and we're editing all this. Like when people ask for checkout instructions, right? You can have it auto reply, but now we just have it in here so that it can just send it off to them, right? And it pulled this from the message that we
Mm.
typically send. So it's getting better and better. Like it's
Okay. So it's
getting
kind of
better.
just like the more you feed it, the likely the better it'll operate for your properties.
Absolutely. And so I
Okay.
get excited about this because I'm like, you know what? If we lean in now, it's only going to get better. And we're going
Mhm.
to be able to eventually just have the AI run this system like almost fully and have our VA continue to oversee it, but then do other things.
Well, right. So even in that example that you had brought up, right? Say because I just feel like guests in the situations can be so nuanced and very particular, right? And I would love to be in a position where I can just let the AI do its thing. But like for example, you brought up the extension piece. Say, oh, the guest, I'm at your property and I want to extend another night or something like that. Your AI responds and says, of course, AJ, sure, you can make another extension. But the AI is handling that. So how does your like VA know that the guest has requested it and then the AI has essentially said it? Because there's no action that actually where the AI actually, does it for you. Like you mentioned, the VA actually has to go and do it. So how does that piece work?
So the cool thing is, right, when you look at this, share my screen again, it actually will pop up an alert whenever there's something that you need to attend to. If somebody says something
Mm,
like that and it doesn't feel comfortable answering it, it won't, but it'll pop up an alert. You see these red things? Like this
mhm,
person mentioned something about being locked out. So it popped up as an alert and it pops up as like a notification on your
mhm,
phone, like, hey, locked out. So you click into it and you go to that guest and see what they're saying. This person
mhm,
mentioned ceiling water spots. This is a roof that we were replacing, I want to say. And this person
mhm.
mentioned like a service animal dispute. This person's crazy. We actually had to call the police for them. They stayed for like 30 days, tried to stay
Oh
over.
man.
They had pets in there, right? And tried to claim it was service animals, but didn't have any paperwork. But that's a whole nother thing. But long story short, like you can see, and there's still messages coming out, right? Locked out, service animal, boom. So you can see at a high level what's going on, click in and go and handle that dispute. So if it says somebody wants to extend, it'll pop that up there. And so you can go in and send that extension. Eventually, because now you can start doing alterations on here, right? I think
Mhm.
they'll probably have a connection where they can do it for you. But I still like
Right.
doing the alterations with our VA because sometimes that price is too low and we want to adjust it
Got it.
for an
Okay.
extension. Does that make sense?
No, that makes absolute sense. I think for me, where I'm at, you just kind of have to lean into the PMS, right? Like,
Yeah.
regardless of what PMS, and I think I was I was reading like an article somewhere because there's a bunch of different PMSs out there. There's Hospitable, is Guesty another popular one, some other
Yes.
three, four. Yeah, that's so I think the answer, to this, and as property managers and owners, we're trying to find a solution to make our short-term rental hosting experience as seamless as possible. And some people will say, oh, go with Guesty. Some people say go with Hospitable. That really doesn't matter as much. I think it's just you pick one, right? In the post or article that I was reading was saying this, and I agree. You pick one and then you kind of have to lean into it. So with Hospitable, I owe that to you because when I did first get into the short-term rental game, that was the process or the PMS that you were using. And I say, hey, my realtor's using it. I may as well. I'm not gonna try and reinvent the wheel. Try to learn this thing as much as I can. Hospitable has like so many different features. I know for a fact I'm not using nearly as many. I'm not even using what you just brought up to the fullest extent, but it does take time. So I'll just have to have some dedicated time where I'm just like locked in and really trying to feed that thing.
Yeah, and to that point, like all the stuff takes time. I think
Yeah,
that's the key. Like you got to be in this for the long term, and if you are, you're just gonna get better over time. This was not going well when we first started using the AI reply. It was like, all right, it's sending something, and then our VA was sending something, so we had to have a conversation. Like, no, no, we want you to let it send it, or at least review it first, and then go for it. Because we had him trained up to respond immediately. Like it was like 30 seconds, he's out responding. He's like, no, 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 let's let's wait a second, let the thing do its thing, and kind of learn. And so, yeah, our goal is just to continue to lean into all this technology because, like, all the big guys are doing this, so why can't we? And it's going to allow
exactly.
you to sleep better at night, especially if you turn it on overnight to where, like, hey, after 7, 8 p.m., you don't even got to look at the inbox. It'll handle
Mhm.
it. And if there's a major issue, it'll shoot you a message.
Hey, Nee, you are one of the big guys at this point. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come
Hey,
on
come on.
now.
Hey, we trying. We are
So,
trying, man. Little by little. No.
for sure.
No. But AJ, what else you got? Anything else top of mind?
Nothing, man. I think just very interesting place in my life and my career. A year ago I was laid off, and then fast forward to today, that company is actually still doing layoffs, which is not fun or anything to like really joke about. But like, I just try to make light of the situation because things could always be worse, right? And that was a very difficult time in my life, but I still found a way to persevere through just being consistent every day, but also the support of, my wife and my loved ones, my family. And I was able to get through it. So fast forward to today, I mean, it's insane to say that I closed on my third property and it being a duplex, which is what we've been trying to acquire ever since moving down in Atlanta. So it's just all a full circle moment for sure. It feels surreal, but I definitely don't want to take my foot off the pedal. I want to just continue to just grow, learn as much as I can, and just surround myself with individuals who are trying to better their lives as well.
100%. And you said something that was huge there. First and foremost, we're so happy that you were able to bounce back, figure it out, get a new company, and then again acquire that next house. And when you
Mhm.
look at what's happening right now, like companies are actively bragging and having their stock go up because they're cutting headcount and using AI to replace, this position and that role. And so now more than ever, what we talk about on these calls, which is achieving financial freedom, is super important. I truly believe that over the next 5 to 10 years is like one of the last opportunities to use that business or that W-2 as a partner to at least get started in this real estate realm or whatever investment you want to before they start looking to lay even more people off. And so I'm like, it's like a mad rush for me. In my mind, I'm like, okay, how can I get to financial freedom through investments, whether that's stock, whether that's real estate, alternative investments, before these companies understand that they can replace you with whatever robot and whatever system that comes out? Because it's getting crazy out there.
100%. I definitely agree. I think Amazon just laid off some tens of thousands of
Like
workers. UPS,
14,000. I was listening to a report this morning. I was like, what?
yeah, I think it was even more. I think like 30,000. So
That's
double that.
crazy.
But it's really insane. But I think I've heard you mention it before. It's starting to become, a situation of the haves and the have-nots. And it's like, I feel for people who are in certain circumstances, especially uncontrollable circumstances. But while I have the time and the knowledge and the wherewithal to take advantage of opportunity that may never be here again. And when I say, that opportunity that may never be here again, it's just where the economy is as a whole. Inflation is, growing higher and higher. The dollar is losing value. It's just a crucial point in time for everybody to involve themselves in some form of external investments, whether that be, crypto, real estate, some other third thing, but just starting now and not waiting for someone to come and like save you. Just jump into something and just continue to learn and grow and be in that space. So with real estate, I'm trying to be in this space for as long as I possibly can. So, 10 years down the road, I have, 10, 15 years worth of equity built up in all of these properties. And then I have more control to which I can, do different things. So that's ultimately, my goal. And I think will help me achieve financial freedom for sure.
Come on now. At that time, we'll be slapping fives in Hawaii and playing tennis at the French Open, man. I'm excited.
For sure, for sure. And then like one more thing, I think just career wise, I'm actually gonna make a big transition here. I'm
Okay.
not gonna say exactly what it is, but I'm actively pursuing it, and I'm really excited for it. So that's in the works, and I think I'll have a big update in just a couple of months here. Really excited for it.
Hey, man, a teaser at the
Yeah,
end of October. AJ,
yeah,
I'm pumped for it. Whatever you jump into, I know you're going to be successful. And so I'll be patient and wait for
yes.
you to announce it, but I'm pumped to hear about it.
For sure. Yes, I'm at the beginning phase of it for sure, but it's gonna require some hard work. But I have I'm eyeing everything up right now. I'm building out my plan, and one thing about me is like once I get dead set on something, like I'm gonna achieve it for sure. So no doubt in my mind, and I'm just excited to get to that point in my career path.
Come on now. Well, we will end on that note. I appreciate you joining, and I will catch you a little bit later, man. Be safe. And if you're going out this Halloween, don't do anything I want to do. All right. Be safe out there.
All right, D. I'll talk to you later.
All right, AJ. See you, man.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast track your path to financial independence.